Welcome to the 700 Club. Weaponizing children in the war against Israel. That's one of the tactics used by Hamas, along with commandeering hospitals as terrorist headquarters.
The latest revelations come as the Israeli government has proposed a plan for Gaza in the aftermath of the war. Julie Stahl reports from Jerusalem.
As fighting continues in the Gaza Strip, Israel is trying to come up with a plan for governing the volatile area after the war ends. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, the first senior official to go public with a blueprint, laid out a four-part plan. It includes ongoing Israeli military control of the overall security situation, a multinational task force led by the U.S., along with European and moderate Arab nations, to oversee civil affairs and economic rehabilitation of Gaza. Egypt takes responsibility for main civilian border crossings to Gaza, and existing Palestinian administration mechanisms will stay in place. The plan does not include the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which Israel says has worked lockstep with Hamas, nor does it include a return of Israeli communities to the Gaza Strip. The blueprint reportedly touched a raw nerve in more right-wing members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, who opposed the forced removal of some 9,000 Israelis from their communities in the Gaza Strip 18 years ago. Many believe if those Israelis had not been pulled out, the October 7th attacks never would have happened. As the war continues, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on his way to Israel for the fourth time in 3 months, expected to focus on trying to prevent the Israel-Hamas war from spreading in the region. Netanyahu met with visiting U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham Thursday, who said he was committed to bringing stability to Israel. Graham visited Kfar Aza, one of the 22 communities worst hit by the Hamas massacre on October 7th.
This attack was primarily motivated, I think, to stop the effort to reconcile between Saudi Arabia and Israel to build on the Abraham Accords. The brutality here was so strong and so visible, making it impossible for Israel not to respond. The destruction of Hamas is non-negotiable. Whatever it takes, as long as it takes.
And the Israeli military is pursuing that mission of destroying Hamas. Inside Gaza, the Israel Defense Forces raided a Hamas base that included a branched underground network connecting to an underground weapons factory.
There were a number of trap doors to make it difficult to get into. Behind the doors were explosive materials, machines and other tools, from which they created long-range rockets and other means of warfare used for carrying out terrorist operations for years on the territory of the State of Israel.
A day earlier, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari noted that international intelligence agencies led by the U.S. are supporting Israel's findings on the terror infrastructure under Shifa Hospital.
Based on these intelligence agencies, these actions by Hamas are an indication of Hamas's terror activity and how they cynically exploit hospitals for terror and also for holding hostages.
Israel also exposed evidence that Hamas is educating children to hate Israel and Jews, something advocacy groups have been saying for years. In non-war times, Hamas operates summer camps where children learn to shoot weapons, storm tunnels, fight tanks, and kidnap soldiers. During the current war, Israel says Hamas has been employing children to deliver messages and ammunition to terrorists, knowing that Israel complies with international law and won't harm children. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The international community needs to wake up to these war crimes, because that's what this is. When you use a hospital as a military base, where you're digging tunnels underneath it, building rockets, firing those rockets, and you're using the hospital as some kind of cover so there's no ability to attack what you're doing, international law calls that a war crime. Educating your children in how to kill people is a crime against humanity. There is no explanation for that. But that indoctrination has been going on, and I'll underline to Americans, with our tax dollars. Our tax dollars have gone to UNRWA, and UNRWA is responsible for those schools and responsible for that education. UNRWA needs to stop. It shouldn't exist anymore. It's just perpetuating warfare and terror against the state of Israel. Well, while Israel is taking on Hamas, they're also facing a major challenge from rocket attacks by Hezbollah on the northern border. 80,000 Israelis have had to evacuate, and many are wondering when they'll be able to go home again. Chuck Holton has that story.
Kibbutz Yiftah sits only 2 kilometers from the Lebanese border, and its people have been living in hotels since early October. It appears they may not return home anytime soon.
I think the less safe I feel is right here on the road. But I have faith.
When I was alone with the kids, the room was fine, and I wanted my kids to be close to me because they were frightened and they had anxieties before they go to sleep, and they asking about Dad. But now when he came back and we are in this little room, and it's very crowded and it's very small, and we're trying to be thankful with the things we have. We have each other.
The close proximity of Yiftah to the Lebanese border, however, adds to the sense of fear about going home. With the escalating conflict, these residents are pressuring the Israeli government to do whatever it must to allow them to reclaim their lives.
We are much closer to the border than most of the kibbutzim in the Gaza Strip. It's scary, I must say. And we need to be sure that we're safe in order to come and live here again in our homes. So this is our request from our government, from our army. Please make us safe.
The day-to-day uncertainty takes a toll. Ongoing missile attacks from Hezbollah, despite Israel's commitment to wipe out the threat, leaves many here feeling powerless.
Like every day I was crying. I'm trying to think, like every time I feel like I don't have enough perspective to see the whole picture, because I lived day by day, not even day by day, and hour by hour, because I don't know. Every morning I wake up and I'm not sure how things are going to go in the country with the war, and I feel like I have no control on life.
Hezbollah commander Hassan Nasrallah gave a speech the day after the attack on Beirut, saying that it was a crime that would not go unpunished. Meanwhile, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari of the IDF says that his troops are prepared for any scenario. That kind of talk adds up to the likelihood of an extended displacement, as the hope for a secure return home remains tied to the IDF's ability to remove Hezbollah from southern Lebanon. These folks realize that may be out of reach without an extended ground invasion.
This will take a very long time. That's what everybody keeps saying to us. That's what the messages that we're receiving is that this will take months until we have to just wait and hope that the war with Hezbollah will create some kind of safety net for us to be able to return home, because without that, we will not be returning to our home in Yiftah.
Chuck Holton, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Just imagine living in that kind of terror. Just imagine that, any day rockets could come in. You have to have bomb shelters within seconds that you run to in order to provide yourself with some kind of safety, some kind of shelter. And then the fear of some invasion by terrorists who will kill you, who will rape you, who will take your children from you. All of these things are the reality of everyday life for people on the border of Lebanon and people on the border of Gaza. We wouldn't ever tolerate that here in the United States. It wouldn't be able to happen. We would absolutely demand our government take out the terrorists and provide safety and security for the citizens of the United States. That's the same cry in Israel. You have to have security. Without it, you don't really have a nation. Israel has an absolute right under international law to defend itself and to protect its own citizens, and when citizens are taken hostage, to have those citizens returned. That needs to be guaranteed. So all of the cries for ceasefire should not be against Israel. It should be against Hamas and Hezbollah, to say to Hamas, You must unconditionally surrender. You must return all the hostages. You must stop firing rockets into Israel. You must lay down your arms and completely surrender. Without that, you can't have peace and you can't have a ceasefire. Well, most of the residents in Sderot have evacuated the city after the October 7th massacre, but others stayed behind. And here's how you're helping these Israelis survive.
CBN Israel is in Sderot, which is a city in southern Israel that for the past 20 years has come under a constant rocket bombardment. We spoke with Pastor Michael Biener of City of Life Ministries. After October 7th, most of the city's residents evacuated. Michael and his congregation are working hard to help those who remained.
In year 2001, when the terrorists from Gaza start to send rockets daily, they proclaim that we want to do the city of Sderot, city of death. And somebody write on the first ejection in the city of Sderot, city of death. And we said, okay, the name of our congregation will be City of Life, because we want to proclaim blessing instead cursing, life instead death, helping with food, personal helping, psychological support that is so important in such a city as Sderot, so traumatized families, children, parents. Now, team of volunteers coming around Sderot to bring to the people who stick in the city.
Today, we're delivering to 120 families. You literally don't leave your bomb shelter. Going to the grocery shop is risking your life. So one of the projects that we decided to do was say, okay, let's provide food, but not just cans or stuff like that. You can actually cook a hot, normal meal with chicken and potatoes and vegetables and all fresh. All the stuff that people are used to eating every day, and it's just normal and taken for granted.
The people who still stay in Sderot, they lose their help what they have in the ordinary life. How they feel they're not alone. Somebody came who really loved them as a Messianics or a Christians. And now we continue also with your help, guys. Thank you for holding our hands, and also part of this work, this is you, because you help us. It's so important for us during the years, your faithfulness in it.
We want to be faithful in providing help and providing blessing to people in Israel. If you want to be a part of it, it's real simple. Pick up the phone and call us, 1-800-700-7000. Say, I want to bless Israel. I want to be a part of CBN Israel. It's real simple. Call and say, here's my gift. You can go to cbn.com. You can designate your gift to CBN Israel. You can write to us, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Just put CBN Israel in the memo line of a check, or you can text CBN Israel to 71777. This war is going to go on for months. We've heard it repeatedly from the government of Israel. We're now hearing it from the people in northern Israel. And there's some prospect that people can return to their homes in southern Israel. We want to be there for them to let them know we love them, God loves them, we care for them, and we want to be a blessing to them. If that's you, call us, 1-800-700-7000.